All right, welcome. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is come on in. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm going to give it a little bit of time just to make sure folks who are coming from the keynote can go ahead and make their way in. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon. Hopefully not good. Oh, maybe good evening. Who knows? Hi, everyone. Yes. Thank you, James. Let us know where you're coming from. All right, I will get started so we don't lose any time, and then I'll also put instructions in the chat as a reference. Hi, everyone. My name is Karen. I'm the moderator for today. If you need me for any reason, please feel free to reach out. Welcome to our session with the wonderful James Gilchrist. Thank you for joining. This session is Showing Up Authentically, a strategy for L&D leadership and impact. Just a reminder, everyone's cameras are off and you are muted. If you have any questions at all, please use the chat, place everything in the chat. James will go into that a little more later, but please use the chat. If you need to use the Q&A, that's fine as well, but the chat will be our main focus. Also, if you need the closed captions, please go ahead and click the icon in the bottom bar. And I think that's about it. I'm going to turn it over to James Gilchrist. Go ahead, James.
Thank you so much, Karen, and thank you all to the organizers of the Start2Evolve 2025 conference. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to see all the names showing up in the attendee box, and a huge shout out to Davis, Ty, Fairfax, Virginia. Thanks for letting me know where you're joining from. Renee in Sonoma County, California. Very glad to see you here. I'm actually coming to you today from the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, about 20 minutes west of Denver, Colorado, and about 1,000 feet higher than Denver, Colorado. I hope, as I said, that you're all enjoying the conference so far. I will say I have found the format to be very engaging and the sessions relevant and insightful. I'm an entrepreneur. I am the director of Lighthouse L&D Consulting. And today we'll be exploring something that I believe deeply, that ROI in learning doesn't start with spreadsheets, benchmarks, or dashboards. It starts with real leadership, with authenticity. And I am so glad that you are joining me in this conversation. Today is going to be fun. This session is going to be fun, and you'll see as we go how applicable this is, no matter what your circumstances are. So let's get going. I want to begin with a question. What if, before measuring anything else, we began with ourselves, our values, our presence, our alignment? Imagine what changes if ROI started not with numbers, but with the who we are that we bring to the work. And this sets the tone. Today is not just about data, but about heart. It's about you bringing your full self into leadership.
Computer, resume testing.
What is the molecular formula of aluminum sulfide crystals? White queen to section 5, grid 6, queen takes knight, rook takes queen, white pawn to section 5, grid 7, pawn takes rook. Checkmate. What significant contribution to bioengineering was made in Lucarian outposts on Clint?
The universal atmospheric element compensator.
Evaluate and conclude. A starship sensor is indicated as being pursued so closely that it occupies the same space as its pursuer. Correct. Identify object and its cultural significance.
Klingon mummification glyph.
What were the principal historical events on the planet Earth in the year 1987? Correct. What was Kira Kim Thaw's first law of metaphysics?
Nothing unreal exists.
Correct. Adjust the sine wave of this magnetic envelope so that antineutrons can pass through it, but antigravitons cannot. Correct. What is the electronic configuration of gadolinium? Correct. How do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel?
I do not understand the question.
Oh, thank you, Davis. Yes, how do you feel? Did you feel watching that clip? And how many of you feel like this could be a typical day at work, answering 3 questions at a time, multitasking until you aren't sure who you are or how you feel? And if you want to name the film and put it in the chat, that would be fun too. But the real question as we go through the session today and the rest of your day is, how do you feel?
Computer.
I have 4 intentions for the next 30 minutes. I hope they resonate with what you need. It is my desire that I help you see your leadership in a new light, and that we anchor what we talk about in values, emotion, and purpose, that you feel reconnected with what feels real in your leadership, and that by the end, you walk away with ideas you can apply immediately. Whether you lead a team, are part of a team, or lead only yourself, you'll find that the concepts we'll be exploring apply to your situation. They are easy to learn, but can be challenging to master. Let's lean into these intentions together. We often talk about leadership in terms of skills, tasks, goals, but what does it feel like? Encouragement, trust, freedom, collaboration, agency, genuine connection, and inspiration. When these are present, everything else flows more easily. I want you to hold on to these words. They'll come back again and again as we look at what authentic leadership actually does. And as you look at this list of leadership behaviors, I'm wondering which one or ones feel the most natural to you already? And which ones are you resisting? Contemplate that, share in the chat. Let us know how these qualities, these emotional foundational qualities, resonate with you. Thank you, Ellen. Encouragement feels easy. I'll go back to the previous slide in case anyone else wants to chime in. An emotional foundation. How does it feel? Collaboration. Thank you, Ty. Collaboration, that resonates with you. And Karen, connection can be challenging. Yes, indeed. Davis, strength, inspiration, resonate. Working on trust. Very good. Encouragement and collaboration. Agency can be challenging when working with external partners. Absolutely. And Kim mentions connection and collaboration. It's very interesting. I delivered a session yesterday on creating engaging online L&D communities, and at its central theme was about how we build belonging. And it's fascinating to see these qualities resonating with you. Oh, thank you, Kim. Thank you very much. So let's move ahead and talk about the flip side of authentic leadership. Many of us feel leadership more as a performance, behaving a certain way because it's expected, hiding parts of ourselves, following a script. Perhaps you've seen that in training programs where leaders have to act a certain type, wearing masks. Looking at these attributes, can you think of circumstances when you've experienced those that we associate with authentic leadership? How about performed? How did it feel? When you look at these two lists and you imagine your own circumstance, you remember your own circumstance or places you've worked in the past. When you encountered the authentic, how did it feel? When you encountered the performed, how did that feel? Instances when leadership presents as performance can lead to disconnection, fatigue, low learner, low employee engagement, and less innovation. Today, I want to help us to move away from those scripts. I'm noticing Renee in the chat. Performed feels like they don't care. I love that. Thank you, Renee, for sharing that. That is absolutely true. Yes, and Ellen adds to that. Performed feels corporate. Interesting that corporate has taken on a meaning that in a way feels disconnected and dehumanized, right? Interesting. Thank you for sharing. But you needn't just take my word for it. And we're going to dive into some research, but I want to just throw out that all of you, as we have gone through these ideas so far, you're already resonating with some of them. You're already having feelings about them, and you're thinking about what it was like to work in both environments. Okay. And ultimately, this conference and everything you learn in it is about what you will take back with you, what will resonate and stay with you. And there may have been sessions that taught you how to perform a task, but in my opinion, the benefit of an event like this, and every day actually, is encountering ideas that you then lay over top of your own experience and that lead you to new ideas and new ways of working that resonate more with you. Authentic leadership is strategic, not soft. We'll look briefly at what studies by Gallup, HBR, and McKinsey show. Better engagement, greater trust, and stronger alignment between what people believe in and what the organization does. Let's look at a couple of examples to see what this looks like in practice at real companies and what happens when values, emotion, and alignment become the focus. Here's an example of a values-led shift in a SaaS company, software as a service, a fast-growing one that recognized that its core values were not guiding behavior or decisions as much as they wanted. They implemented what they called a value immersion program that aligned leadership and all organizational levels with core values, and the results were striking. Engagement improved. Attrition dropped. And employees reported a stronger sense of belonging, all of which translated into better performance in customer retention and internal KPIs. Let's focus for a moment on the statement, stronger belonging and alignment in decision-making. What does that even mean? When we talk about stronger belonging, we're talking about more than culture. We're talking about people feeling emotionally connected to their work, their team, and their values. And when people feel that connection, they engage more deeply. They take more risks and are more open to learning. Alignment in decision-making means that people aren't just following instructions, they're making choices that reflect shared values. That's when you know your leadership is resonating, when people act with clarity, not just compliance. What was done was that leadership alignment was prioritized. Leaders participated in off-site and experiential learning programs. And these were followed by workshops rolled out to all employee levels that included role-playing, discussions, and feedback mechanisms. Values were deeply embedded into daily behaviors and decision-making. And as we've seen, the outcomes include greater employee engagement, reduced attrition, and better clarity of values. How does this relate to L&D? Well, it shows that leadership behavior aligned with values leads to stronger employee engagement and belonging, which then feeds back into learning effectiveness. Employees are more receptive, more likely to engage, and stay, retention, all parts of ROI for L&D. If you have any questions or comments about this case, feel free to put them in the chat. Case in point number 2. In Authentic Leadership and Improved Individual Performance, Effective Commitment and Individual Creativity Sequential Mediation by Duarte, 2021. What a name. Researchers surveyed 214 employees across different industry sectors to examine how authentic leadership, leaders being self-aware, transparent, moral, balanced in their decision-making, links to better individual performance. They were especially interested in whether effective commitment, how emotionally attached employees feel to their organization, and individual creativity, the degree to which employees report generating new, useful ideas, act as sequential mediators in that relationship. In other words, does authentic leadership lead to stronger commitment, which leads to more creativity and then ultimately to better performance. And what they found was that authentic leadership directly predicts better employee performance. It also predicts higher effective commitment, which in turn predicts better performance. So commitment is the bridge. Creativity alone did not mediate the relationship between authentic leadership and performance in a statistically significant way. But authentic leadership did not have a strong direct effect on creativity by itself. But when looking at the sequence, authentic leadership leading to effective commitment, leading to creativity, and then performance, the sequential mediation was significant. The translation: authentic leadership fosters commitment, commitment helps support creativity, and that creativity then helps drive performance. And it's wonderful to have statistics. It's wonderful to have case studies. It's the kind of thing that you feel often you need to be able to justify, defend, or get buy-in on a position that you feel naturally is the truth. And throughout every aspect of L&D, the one central theme is that people are doing things for people and are learning things from people. So I personally find that this underlying aspect of business and the fact that we are all working together is unfortunately too often set aside. It's almost as if, and let me know in the chat if this resonates for you, that we've become accustomed to treating the people who are doing the work and the people we are leading, and maybe feeling from those who are leading us, that we are expected to set everything that makes us unique, everything that bring all of our capability outside of our task-oriented function aside, and basically buy whatever message we're being told is true, even though we're not seeing evidence of it. The study just adds weight to what many of us intuitively know, that when leadership is real, when it's grounded in values and emotionally intelligent, it creates the psychological space for people to care more, to create more, and contribute more. And that's important because it identifies the how. Performance doesn't increase just because a leader is authentic. It increases because authenticity builds effective commitment, people feeling emotionally connected, and creativity, people feeling safe to try, to contribute, improve, fail forward, as Karen and I were talking about before the session today. You can trust there was a lot of failing forward going on, and a lot of inspiration and a lot of creativity, and not much fear among those organizing the Start2Evolve conference. I would just love it if at this point people would put a thumbs up or a clap or a heart or something in the chat just to acknowledge the amazing work that has gone into making it possible for us to come together and have the experience that we're having today. Just fabulous. It is hard. It is hard to give birth to something new, and they've done a magnificent job. So this is sort of a cap. Thank you very much for putting in the chat. I really appreciate that. This is to sort of cap what we were just saying. Authentic leadership builds emotional belonging and strategic alignment, two conditions that drive deeper engagement and stronger decision making. Authentic leadership doesn't just improve morale. It leads to better decisions, stronger engagement, and greater consistency in how your strategy gets lived out across the organization. Ask yourself, where in your organization do people feel connected but lack clarity around decision making? Where is the reverse true, where clarity is being demonstrated but not connection? And think in the days ahead about the role that you might play in bridging that gap. So what does it mean to lead with values and emotion? How does this idea translate to your day-to-day leadership? It means listening more than talking. It means sharing vulnerability. It means creating space for others to bring their full selves. It means choosing behaviors that align with values even when it's uncomfortable. We see on here the phrase meaningful feedback that develops. And thank you, 10, Karen. This refers to feedback that is both emotionally resonant and practically useful, designed to support growth, self-awareness, and performance, not just correction or compliance. Think about that. Think about the feedback that you've given and the feedback that you've received. Did it feel emotionally resonant and practically useful? Was it designed to support growth, self-awareness, and performance? Or was it merely focused on correction or compliance? This feedback and how it is delivered is a key component of a culture where employees can, quote, feel safe to ask questions, try something new, share their opinion, and fail forward. And yes, there is a slide that's going to give you links to lots of research. Safe to ask questions, try something new, share your opinion, and fail forward. It is positioned as part of the kind of workplace where leaders value encouragement, listening, psychological safety, and authentic conversation. So when thinking about such feedback, remember that it's personalized and specific. It's not generic praise or criticism. It's targeted to an individual's context and goals. And it should be growth-oriented. It's not just about past performance. It's about what's next and how to get there. It's emotionally intelligent, meaning it gets delivered in a way that builds trust and invites dialogue, not defensiveness. And it's two-way. It's not only given to an employee, but also drawn from them, encouraging reflection and autonomy. So ask yourself, which of these resonate? Are there some that feel noticeably absent? Where could you lean more fully into these in your work? I invite you to share your reflections in the chat. There is neurological and psychological evidence that affirmations, statements like, I can do it, do more than build confidence. They light up the brain's reward centers, reduce defensiveness, and help people become more open to change. When you say to yourself, I can do it, you're activating something in you that supports risk, agency, and growth. Ian Robertson of the Center for Brain Health tells us that the brain doesn't distinguish between the completion of a goal or task and the affirmation that a goal or task can be completed. Both result in a dopamine hit, which elevates mood and increases confidence. So, how might this information be useful at work? As a leader, as a team member, as an entrepreneur? I invite you to read this quietly. Let it land. Say it to yourself. Practice it. Claim it. Believe it. This isn't just motivational fluff. This is part of how we build the internal trust we need to lead authentically. Take a moment. Of the things we've talked about so far, what feels meaningful to you? What will you carry with you? What behavior could you try immediately? Maybe today, tomorrow, or this week? Sometimes the most powerful changes can start small with awareness and intention. Now, I'm including in this presentation two slides that include 10 questions to ask yourself and use cases where you can apply them. Questions like, if you trusted your instincts more fully in your L&D leadership, what would you try, change, or stop doing? A use case might be to ask yourself this when you're facing indecision or resistance in making values-based changes. Another question, what's one thing your business leaders don't yet see about the power of authentic L&D leadership, and how could you help them see it? This is a question to ask when preparing to advocate for L&D strategy to senior leaders. And when do you feel most like yourself at work? Use this during career check-ins or when setting leadership intentions for a new quarter or initiative. Leading authentically means being holistic, acknowledging complexity, embracing imperfection, staying simple and truthful. It's not always about having it right. It's about being present, being real, being aligned. When we lead this way, policy, culture, and behavior start shifting around us. Here are some simple behaviors you can try this week. Invite a story. Ask what matters. Share a value. Test a behavior. And listen more than you speak. All of these are ways to experiment, to test what resonates in your context. Choose one, maybe two, that feel possible, and try them. Lean into discomfort. See what feels different. It may help you to focus on the idea that as a leader, you are the strategy. Your presence, your values, your way of leading, those are what people pay attention to, what creates trust, what shapes what comes next. When you show up as authentic, you aren't just leading people or defining programs, you're shifting culture. This line is more than a feel-good quote. It's a reframe of how we think about leadership in L&D. So often we're trained to model the most polished version of leadership, something that feels safe, rehearsed, professional. But the truth is, your most powerful leadership moments are rooted in your individuality, in your story, in your instincts, in your vulnerability. The emotional intelligence you bring to a hard conversation, the creativity you infuse into a learning experience, the quiet courage it takes to challenge the status quo or advocate for your learners, that's not accidental. It's your unique value. And when you lead from that place, not from performance or persona, you become indispensable. Not because you're everything to everyone, but because you are aligned, real, and deeply trusted. Before we close, I want to invite you to turn inward, because everything you've heard today will have the most power when it becomes personal. Think about what makes you you in your work. Not your title, not your skill set, but the way you lead, support, question, listen, or show up when it matters most. Now, complete this sentence in your mind. What makes me unique as a leader is... And because of that, here's how I want to show up more intentionally in the days ahead. You may not have the full answer today, and that's okay. The important thing is knowing that your uniqueness isn't a side note. It's the very thing that makes your leadership matter. Now, we are just about out of time. I think we've got just a couple of minutes, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Still ahead, I have a few resource links to share, and when you get a copy of the presentation, as I said, you'll see I've included those 10 reflective questions and use cases for applying authentic leadership in L&D. So open in the chat, any questions? These are the resource links that you'll get. These are the questions that you're going to get. And finally, if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you can scan this QR code or search my name and Lighthouse L&D Consulting. Thank you, Ellen. I so appreciate your feedback. I'm really glad that you were able to attend today, just as I hope all of you enjoy everything that is still to come during Start2Evolve 2025. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, James. I appreciate it. Just a reminder that this session is recorded, so so much great stuff if you want to go back and watch any of it. Thank you, James, for sharing your contact information, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their time at the conference.
And Karen, there's one question that I'm happy
great.
to answer for just a moment.
Yeah,
I see
please.
Davis
Yeah, please.
asked, can you speak to the balance one needs to strike between the time it takes for genuine authenticity and more cold, calculated decision-making that drives so much of our environments? So I'll just speak to time, and I'll reply to your question with a question. How long do you think it takes to feel what would be the authentic way to connect with your team or leadership or your customers? I think our internal guidance system and our understanding of how these principles work will tell you that it doesn't take any more time. In fact, it takes less time to be authentic than to And just like it takes more time to focus on a problem than it does to focus on a solution. So hopefully, Davis, that resonates with you. Perfect. This has been a real pleasure. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. And thanks to Start2Evolve for having me. And we'll see you again.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, James. I appreciate your presentation a lot. Really great stuff to just think about. It's going to take a little while to have it set in.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Are
Right. Do you
we are we are we
we
broadcasting still? Or are
we
we
are finished. I'm gonna go ahead and yeah, we still do have attendees here.
okay? That's good to know.
Yeah. Yep.
I see Dawn with Teams. We're still
Yeah.
prioritizing what we can do and what is needed. Absolutely.
Mhm.
It is something that I think of as a dovetail, right? You're going to blend all of these approaches in with the work that you're doing. And there will never come a time when prioritizing what you need do won't be something that is at the top of your list. But imagine if you were prioritizing some of those things based on how these authentic leadership principles would translate to your team, your employees, or your customers, right? It could change the focus. And as we've seen, can drive unexpected and positive results. So, Dawn, if you're still here, I hope that's helpful.
All right. I'm
Okay.
gonna go ahead and end the session. Again, thank you so much, James, and thank you to all who have attended. And have a great day, everybody. Take care.